Speaking of South Wales, you've got home advantage roughly this weekend. This game live on our league, but taking place over in Newport. I mean, the message has to go out really. Get yourself down there because you need those supporters this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just dragging everyone in that we can, and it does show when you have home support. And you're just looking for the next gear, just having that crowd behind you, hearing those cheers, it just pushes you to keep going. If you're back, particularly if we know it's going to be a very physical, tough game against the Broncos, and sometimes the crowd just hearing that support, it enables you to keep going, to keep pushing, and just to empty the tank. So yeah, we're hoping that we can get in as many supporters as we can.
Well, Joann, a big thank you for joining us. And before we get to this weekend's grand final, it's been another decent season for Cardiff as defending champions this time round. How's it gone?
No, it's gone really well. We've grown this season as a squad, introducing new players and just developed our skills and knowledge for rugby league. So it's been a really good season.
Obviously, I'll touch upon the results from this season, especially that fantastic win over the Army a couple of weeks ago. But just touch upon that opening season in the Women's Super League South. A phenomenal year for the club. You must have gone into this year with a proper good spring in your step as a team.
Yeah, we definitely did. It was a fantastic season. It couldn't have gone any better, really. The first season genuinely couldn't have gone any better. We did come into this season with a spring in our step, but also knowing that we still needed to learn so much about the game. There was still so much for the team to learn and to bring in new members of the team.
Yeah. How's that integration gone as well? Because at the same time, Cardiff have been doing well. The Welsh national side seems to be getting a bit of momentum. I know there's a number of players who are in both squads. So it's very much a learning curve, but it seems like Cardiff are doing pretty well at learning as the season progresses.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, no, definitely it is a learning curve. And we've been fortunate enough to have players who've been there from sort of day one. So they form sort of like a leadership group then, and are able to really take under their wings the new players. And it is just about sharing the knowledge that we have, and also for all of us to, as I said, just to keep learning. And we've got a fantastic coaching setup, and they're always there to give feedback to new and obviously the existing players then.
And touching upon, those learnings and that kind of thing. Obviously, the season started with the Nines tournament, and Cardiff and London, we should say, had cracking showings during that tournament. I mean, how useful was that to take on Northern opponents?
That was absolutely fantastic. That was such an amazing experience for us all. Very hard work, but yeah, the experience was fantastic. And it was nice to, obviously, last season and this season, we're playing in the same teams. So to face those Northern teams, the experience was brilliant.
I mean, what's it tell us about the level of the Betfred Women's Super League South? I'm imagining, that gap between the South and the North, it's getting closer if it's there at all.
Yeah, and I think that's the aim. Obviously, the aim is to definitely be closing that gap. As we develop, we don't want it to be this massive chasm between the North and the South. We, along with the Broncos, along with the Army, we want to be closing that gap, and we want the skills in our games to reflect, the same as theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to, touch upon the fact that it's only 2 seasons into the competition as well, and I'm having this chat about closing that gap. Yeah. I mean, who knows where we're going to be in 2 years' time? But just to touch upon, you mentioned the Army there. We should touch upon the semi-final a couple of weeks ago. Quite a performance and quite an occasion. The pressure was on, but you did it. You through to another final. How was the game?
Yeah, it was a really hard fought game. I mean, I've watched it back, and I don't think you see when you're watching it back, you don't see and feel how physical it was on the day. The heat played it was I've never played in heat like that before, so that was a massive, took its toll on the players. But it was good. It was a good experience to know that it was really, really close. Our backs were against the wall. We defended a lot, especially in the second half. But then in the last sort of 10 minutes, to be able to trust each other and to trust our structure and just stick with it, keep going through the phases, and then getting those 2 final tries. It was a really good game.
And we should say, I mean, it was only a couple of weeks before that you had to take on the London Broncos as well. So I'm imagining you're pretty battle-hardened heading into this grand final. 2 epic games there. I know Cardiff just missed out in that league game against the London Broncos at the end of July, but there wasn't much separating the pair of you, was there really, in all fairness?
No, it wasn't. And those are the games, to be honest, that we are learning the most from. You know, nobody wants a totally one-sided game. It's when you've got a battle for the win, or you know, and there's going to be occasions obviously that we do lose, but in those battles, that's where we're learning the most. That's where we're learning what works, what doesn't work, and what we need to improve on.
And with regards to, we've touched upon the development of the game and you know how well the last 2 years have gone for the Cardiff Demons, but that's on the pitch, off the pitch as well. I mean, there must be a brilliant spring in the step of the club more generally. I mean, how's that side of things going? The development of the girls' game and the women's game there in South Wales. Do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's definitely growing the game in Wales because we've obviously introduced so many new players to the squad this year. We invite people to training, but as a group, it's probably one of the best teams I've ever been involved in. Everyone's really supportive. There's always somebody. If you think you've made a mistake, there's always somebody there to just give you a pat on the back. You know, we move on, we keep going, and that's what it is. It's just the push forward as a team. But it is a brilliant environment to be in at the moment.
And speaking of South Wales, you've got home advantage roughly this weekend. This game live on our league, but taking place over in Newport. I mean, the message has to go out really. Get yourself down there because you need those supporters this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just dragging everyone in that we can, and it does show when you have home support. And you're just looking for the next gear, just having that crowd behind you, hearing those cheers, it just pushes you to keep going. If you're back, particularly if we know it's going to be a very physical, tough game against the Broncos, and sometimes the crowd just hearing that support, it enables you to keep going, to keep pushing, and just to empty the tank. So yeah, we're hoping that we can get in as many supporters as we can.
And it's been another cracking campaign. I mean, what's your thoughts on the actual challenge this weekend of the London Broncos?
We know they're a fantastic team. They're very much. I feel like they're very much like us. They seem like a very supportive team towards each other, and they are on the same journey, you know, as Cardiff Demons. They're trying to grow and develop. But what we focused on is Cardiff Demons. In our preparation for this game, it's not what the Broncos are going to bring, it's what we can bring. What we've been going through, strengthening our strengths and also working on those weaknesses to ensure that they're not weaknesses. Yeah, we know it's going to be tough, and it wouldn't be a final if it wasn't tough. You know, that's the joy of a final, is that it's going to be a really tough encounter, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and here's hoping it's going to be. I mean, touching upon that game back in July, I mean that was a great advert, wasn't it, for the competition? And I imagine you don't want as close a game this weekend, but certainly a good advert for our league and that kind of thing. That'd be handy. I'm going to suggest on Saturday.
Yeah, no. Hopefully it's not as close, and hopefully, you know, the result is not the same. We're obviously hoping that we get the result this time, but we as I said, we know it is going to be close. But we're hoping that what we've learned from playing them previously and also from the Army game is going to give us the advantage now moving into Saturday.
Great stuff. Well, Joeann McGuire from the Cardiff Demons, a big thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join us this week, and big good luck this weekend in the grand final.
Lovely, thank you very much.